the band is really, I mean, the chemistry of the band is just, in my opinion, on point, 100% at their best when all four of those guys are in the room playing that, and that's it. Period, bar none.
Another week. So, first question, what have you been listening to this week?
This week, well, I've been rotating on the same usual bands. I have a really hard time listening to new stuff just because it's really hard to find and discover new stuff. I will tell you this: when we were going to school and I was making the drive to Westwood,
Mm-hmm.
I told you I was listening to a lot of Chevelle.
Yep.
And I swear to you, I listened to them for, I think, about a year straight, probably, dude. Like, I probably listened to that band 80% of the time over other bands. Like, when I get compulsive with bands, dude. So when I find a band I like, I'm going to go through their whole catalog. And so I went through the whole made the driving so much easier, and went through their whole catalog, dude. And man, what a band! You know what I mean? I mean, I went through. I think I first went through their second album first, the one that's got the red.
Okay.
Let's see, what is it called? I'm really bad with names sometimes. You know what I mean? Unless you want to talk about Metallica or something, bad names and albums. But oh wow, it's Wonder What's Next.
Okay.
Wonder What's Next. I remember always hearing that song, The Red, right, in the background. But you know how you always like listen to a song and you're like, you hear it from time to time throughout the years, but you have no idea what the artist is or who it is. You have no idea what the song is, and you always hear it and you always like it. You always like the song, but you can never figure out who it is. So I finally, when what is it? Shazam came out.
Yep.
When Shazam came out, I thought that was just beautiful because I was able to just click on that thing, and boom, it told me finally after all these years of who that was, and that was Chevelle.
I do remember you were quite obsessed with the Chevelle band. Like, dude, I just listened to this album 3 times. Next time it's like, what are you listening to now? Oh, I'm still on Chevelle. I'm on their 5th album. You just kept.
I just kept going and going with it, brother, dude.
Okay, well, we'll keep it on here. So, what album? Which one?
Okay,
what do you like? What do you like?
Let me tell you this, dude. Okay, Wonder What's Next. I listened to that record for probably about 3 months straight. Like, I didn't even hear the other albums. Like, I was just stuck on that album. Like, I'm just like listening to every song, like every detail, like everything. You know what I mean? Just like I was stuck on that album, like working out with that album, and that's all I listened to. It's just really weird, like compulsively weird. But so I listened to that out for like 3 months, and then I finally decided to venture off. Okay, let's hear what I think it's. This Type of Thinking Could Do Us All In. So I started listening to that album, and I said, "Holy moly, this is great too." I mean, I can't believe I've been missing out on this album. I haven't been. So I had no idea about it. So I listened to that album. I didn't listen to it as long as the Wonder What's Next album, but I listened to it a little bit, and then I jumped over to Sci-Fi Crimes. Okay. Actually, I did Vienna Sura first. I think that's how you pronounce it. That album was okay. I mean, I thought the first song was really good. I think the first song is called Anti-Saint. Great song. Listen to the rest. It was okay, but it wasn't like the other albums. I thought that one was not as good as the Wonder What's Next and This Type of Thing Could Do Us All In, but do us in, excuse me. And then, bro, I don't even know if you ever heard of these guys. Have you ever listened to these guys?
Nope.
Oh, please do, because after all these years, dude, I told you to listen to them. And thanks for being honest, dude. I appreciate that.
Well, it's like I did listen to them, but not obviously not to the extent as you did.
Bro, you told me
I-
to listen to Ghost, dude, and I already listened to it or the whole album already. You mentioned it like one time in about 15 seconds, dude. The whole time,
No,
2 years of UCLA, I was mentioning these guys.
no, I did. No, I did listen to them. I remember you did talk about like I said limit list like 3 songs, and I did listen to Red. And yeah, because I remember looking at this album, like, yes, I remember a lot of my friends had this album cover, had this album. I remember the cover. And then, quick fact, this album sold 2 million copies, and they gave them the main stage at Ozfest 2003. So,
Wow.
yeah, this had to be what Wonder What's Next was probably their most profitable album. And you're right. Red is that one song that always came on the radio. I'm like, it's not a bad song. I just never knew who sang it.
Yeah, and what's funny too is that they got them listed down as new metal, which I don't think they are new metal really. I think
Oh,
they're
well,
like, huh?
speak about that. What type of music for like the newer people listening? How do you categorize them?
Well, when I think new metal, I think like vocals being like more like rap.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Obviously the bands that come to mind would be like Korn, Limp Bizkit. Um, who else is out there? I mean,
Early
so
Linkin
many.
Park.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the band. Maybe I don't even think Deftones was really classified as that. It was mostly just Korn is like the big hitters. You know what I mean? And Limp
Mm-hmm.
Bizkit. Those are the two bands right there. Premier. That you think new metal? Those two bands are always going to come in there, right there. I mean, I think I'm missing one band.
Do you
Power
consider
Man
Soulfly?
5000, huh?
Soulfly?
No, no, not so. I don't think Soulfly. Soulfly is more to me metal.
Okay.
From what I remember, it's been years since I've listened to Soulfly because I've always loved Sepultura, Max
Mm-hmm.
Cavalera, and his brother Igor. But but that's another matter, dude. But Sepultura, I've always enjoyed them. But I would consider them more like metal. What are they? I don't even know if they have them listed by. I don't want to go off topic too much, but um, I mean, they're pretty much the metal to me. You know what I mean? I mean, there's another genre term for them,
Well,
but
they're listed under as groove metal, thrash metal, death metal, and new metal early.
thrash. There you go. I
Mm-hmm.
guess you could say thrash. Tied in with like Slayer. You know what I mean? I guess when I think thrash, I think Slayer.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean that Soulfly. I mean, yeah, I would say they were more metal, but new metal. You gotta have those vocals that are just kind of like rappy, rapping. That's what I think about that late '90s sound. So
Mm-hmm.
Chevelle, I look at them more as like alternative metal. They're in
Okay.
that space of alternative. They're like hard rock, but they're more modern hard rock. They're not like Van Halen hard rock. They're more like there's like this alternative metal space there. It sounds more modern to me. Like you don't have like the guitars like Eddie Van Halen just like doing like all the showmanship,
Mm-hmm.
these elaborate solos and stuff like that with alternative metal. You do have that for like hard rock, but you don't have that for alternative metal. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would say Chevelle is probably solid alternative, but new metal, I don't know. And it's a funny thing, they got them listed first as new metal. But yeah, I mean, I think this album was really good. I didn't think there was any album was gonna be better than this album, but surprisingly, there was an album that matched it, and that was Sci-Fi Crimes. See, Sci-Fi Crimes, in my opinion, I think every song is great on that album. I mean, this
Is there
album,
is there is there a stark contrast to the two albums? Like, can you tell, or is it just a continuance?
oh man, that's an interesting question. I mean, you can obviously tell that the recording sounds different, the production is different. Um, I'm listening to the songs in my head right now.
All right, so Soulfly, yeah,
They're a little different. What's that?
oh, it says the sci-fi crimes. You said, what is it? It says jars and letters from a thief. What do you think of
Now,
these
I mean,
songs?
those songs are good, but you know what? I always find out that I always like the songs that they're least talked about,
Mm-hmm.
or the least like sleep apnea. They bust out with that album with sleep apnea, and it's just like an awesome song to start off an album. Um, it's just an awesome song. I mean, it's an awesome live song. I
Mm.
think, you know, I mean, it just has a lot of. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. You know, what I mean, it's like trying to describe how steak tastes like. I guess you gotta listen to it. Um, and then it goes right into Mexican Sun, which is a really good transformation, like as far as like the tempo of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it drops the mood a little bit. So those songs are probably my two favorite off that album. Those first two that hard hit. And I remember talking to you about this, and I think you told me that you liked Roswell Spell. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
You do?
I do. Only, you know why? Because the name caught my eye because I'm a a big UFO guy. I'm like, all right, Roswell, New Mexico. I just randomly picked a song, had an interesting name. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so you said you liked that song, and I was
Yeah.
actually surprised because I was like, "Whoa, that I wasn't expecting that." You know what I mean? That was like right out of nowhere, but I was like, "Okay, all right, okay." And then I think every song is pretty much. I mean, in my opinion, and if other Chevelle fans are listening, I really think this rivals Wonders What's Next. Um, I just think it's like I didn't think there was going to be another album just as good as Wonder What's Next, but this one really rivals it. I can't tell you which one's my favorite. I mean, I like them both. They're both good in their own right, in their own place. And then all the other albums before that, they're solid, they're good. Like Hats Off to the Bull. Hats Off the Bull was, they had some solid songs off that, like Face to the Floor, Same Old. I like Same Old Trip a lot. Um, and the other songs are solid too. It's a good. The thing about the band too, they have the songs just flow well. You
Mhm.
know, you like you get these bands are they're like especially new metal, a lot of choppiness with the tempos, like a lot of choppiness, a lot of tempo changes. The tempo changes a lot of just everywhere. What I like about this band is everything just flows. And like if I was going to do a band these days, like if I was going to play music, I would what would influence me is the flow of
Mhm.
their music. That's what I would incorporate with my music is to flow like how they flow. Everything makes sense. All the parts make sense. There's nothing weird in there. There's nothing that doesn't belong in there. All the verses, all the choruses, all the bridges, all the outros, everything makes sense and everything flows and there's nothing that shouldn't be in there. Because sometimes when you write songs as a musician, at least for what I did, I'm like, I like this part, but I'm really forcing it in here. I don't know if it belongs in here. You know what I mean? And you kind of force it, but I feel like none of the parts in the band is forced. Everything is just belongs there. So I think
So,
that's
I was gonna say, so for the future listeners here, Joey was in a band. He played, as you can tell by his instruments in the back. So he has experience in music, both writing, playing, just all the gamut of being in the music world. And I myself am an avid listener of music. I can't play a note, I can't sing a note, but I sure love to listen. But this is Joey's expertise. So when he knows he hears a good beat, he knows the tempos. This is him.
well,
I did.
to say is that I was born with a family of musicians. So ever since I was a little kid, I mean, I always had music. My dad played guitar. My grandfather played guitar. I mean, my great grandfather played guitar. Everybody played, and my aunts they sang,
Mhm.
a lot. So I always had music around me. So I feel like at a very young age, I was able to. I just listened to a lot of music, man. Even at a young age, even when I was like Geez, even when I was like 7, I was listening to a lot of music, and even when I discovered Metallica when I was like 10.
Hmm.
When Injustice for All album when it came out. So I mean, I've been listening a lot, and then when I got together my bands, I just hearing so much music and being in so many shows and stuff like that, you start to, I don't know, I feel like you start to gauge a little bit about just start becoming you just start understanding more, I think, about like songs and how and flow of songs and what sounds good, what doesn't sound. It's weird, but I don't know. But then again, it's like, one man's, what they say, one man's crap is another man's gold. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So there's some bands out there that, like, take for instance, just to make my point, the band At the Drive-In. If you heard of that band, the guys from the Mars Volta.
Mm.
Uh, Now that band, their songs are just like, they're time signatures and there's tempo. They're just all over the place. I mean,
Okay.
when I first heard that band, it just sounded chaotic. Like none of the parts made sense. It sounds like nothing belongs with each other. It is,
Mm.
but after listening to it for a while, you're like, I guess it does make sense, and like now that I've entered their world, it makes sense. So the point is, it's like, even though you think you got a grip on something and like it sounds good, then you have something that just throws you off track and like, whoa, this is this first of all didn't make any sense to me, but then there's some weird reason that now it makes sense to me. I don't know why. It's really weird. And
But
people,
isn't that the beauty of music? Like it's art. So
yeah,
it's subjective. Some person might think it's not good at one time or another, but then give it one more wind and you understand it. And that's one thing that I think is so awesome about music. That's like you can listen to a song over and over again and 100 times, and then the 101 time you might interpret it just a little bit different than you did the other 100 times.
right. That's it's, yeah, and like you said, it's about as subjective as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And then, matter of fact, I mean, I can go all different. I mean, I could tell you songs that I hated when I was in high school and now I love.
All right, well,
Do you know what
let's
I mean?
shoot.
Well, I mean, take for instance, like, okay, what albums I've been listening to? Well, not lately, but with a good, a good example of this would be Pearl Jam.
Okay.
Okay, Pearl Jam, I really didn't like it all in high school. Like when I heard
Mhm.
10, I was like, I don't know, I don't understand what the fuss is all about. I don't know why. And of course, I grew up in that era, of grunge music. That was when I was going to
Mhm.
high school, and I didn't
But
understand.
admittedly, you said you are a Alice in Chains fan.
Yeah, oh, Allison, are you kidding me? That they're like they're I don't even know, they might be in the top 5. You know what I mean? Just because Lane Staley is just he's I mean his being a singer. I mean, and to me, I always thought that band should be a lot more popular than what they were. Even though they were popular, but Soundgarden and Pearl Jam were more popular than them. And I always thought that Alice in Chains should have been, I mean, they should be just as popular. Stone Temple Pilots and any of those bands, because they always play, and they the thing that I never really liked with radio is they always play Man in the Box, and it's like it's my least favorite song off that whole album.
And there you go again. There you go. You just said that you're not a big fan of like the mainstream songs. You like the songs that no one really talks about.
Facelift, okay, we're talking about Facelift, and right, and there we go again. You know what I mean? Like I've had to endure that song for so many years, what's a shame is that a lot of people, that's all they know is Man in the Box, from Alice in Chains. That's the
Hmm.
only representation of the song. That's the only song that they know Alice in Chains, and that's a shame.
And
Because
maybe even Rooster, right?
the song's a good song. Matter of fact, I think I like Rooster more than Man in the Box. But
Hmm.
off of Dirt, right? We're talking about Dirt. But let's go back. Let's keep with Facelift real quick. Um, I remember I first heard Bleep the Freak. And my guy used to teach me, the guy who taught actually my guitar teacher, my old guitar teacher, when I first learned how to play guitar, he played that song, and it was just one of the songs I had to learn. And that song was a big song to me. And I think the other song, Sunshine,
Yep.
that song that's probably my favorite. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to say because they have there's so many good. I think I like every song off that album. Love, Hate, Love is such a great song. But I think Sunshine is one of those. It's a song that like nobody talks about, and I think that's the gold right there, man. I mean, that's really the chorus with Jerry, sing with Lane, is just magical. It's magical, especially when they play live. When they played it live, especially back in their hometown, Seattle. I mean, I would give anything, bro, to go back in 1992 to Seattle to watch Alice in Chains. I mean, who wouldn't out there, right? Who wouldn't? Most guys my age, or most gals my age. God, I'd give it to watch them play at their hometown in 1992 when they were first coming out and being noticed. Well, actually, they were being noticed before that. They came up, but I mean, wow. I mean, and then they came out with Dirt. And then Dirt, another just legendary album, man. What can I say? I mean, you've heard of Dirt, right? I mean, let's take a look at Dirt, okay? If you don't mind, let's look at. I mean, let me pull up Dirt real quick. I mean, Wood is the big song off that album, right? I mean, Wood is like, I think, isn't that the most popular song off that album? Yeah, and I remember the video for Them Bones. I remember seeing it on the Beavis and Butthead back in those days. And yeah, dude, Lane State was so cool. He was in his prime. I mean, he was really just kicking butt at that time. And then Rooster was a really popular song. I think see, you got Wood, you have Rooster, and then you have Them Both. I think I would have to say probably Wood is the more popular song out of all of them. Would you say? I mean, then Rooster. But see, here's again, Junkhead is like, I mean, those songs I like more. You know what I mean? And those songs are not the popular songs off that album. We're talking about radio wise. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people feel like this, especially Alice in Chains hardcore fans. I mean, it's the songs that don't get recognition are the songs that I listen to the most. I mean, but what an album. God, what an album. Yeah, so I mean, Alice in Chains, what a band. I don't know, we got sidetracked with Alice in Chains, but hey, what the heck, what a great band to get sidetracked from, right? I mean,
well, you were saying about going back to Pearl Jam and 10. You didn't like it when you first heard it. You're like, what's the big hubbub about it?
Yeah, what's the big deal about it? I remember Even Flow.
Even though that is probably one of my top 10 songs.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. That had such a great 90s vibe to it. And I love putting on the headphones, and I just love closing my eyes. And I feel like even though in 93, 94, 95, I was a baby, I'm somehow sucked into the 90s wearing flannels and cut off jeans. I'm like a cheesy 90s movie.
Don't forget the hacky sack, brother.
Hacky sack. I don't know. It's just I think this. I don't know. It's a song that every time it comes on, I get the body moving. It's a good song. The really good song to jam out to. One of my top 10s. And
Really?
that's not even a lie. I genuinely love that song.
That's a strong statement, bro. The top 10, huh?
Yeah, it's one of the first songs that I remember. How do I even say this? It's just I felt like I found it out on my own, it wasn't like I heard it on the radio. Like I probably did, but one day I was just like, "What's this?" Like going through the CD store when Warehouse, Sam Goody, all those were still existed, and I just remember I'm like, okay, this is a band I know I've seen. So I went to a little what do you call it? Where you can like listen to the CD.
There's little sections, yeah, they got the
Yeah, yeah.
headphones.
Well, back then it was a little bit more futuristic where you just like scan it and then you can listen to the music. And for Even Flow came on, and yeah, that was it. I heard it. I'm like, this is one of the coolest songs I've ever heard. And this was like me being 8 years old. I'm like, this is so cool.
That you're 8?
Yeah.
Wow. Isn't it funny too when you start? Isn't it interesting when you discover a song you really like a lot, and you're saying, "I really like the song," and you're still in the middle of listening, like you haven't even heard the whole song yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're still in the middle, and like you're thinking, and like my thoughts are like, I can't wait to listen to the song again once it's over. You know, what I mean, I can't believe I discovered this song. Wow, and it's right when the song is playing, right?
Yep.
When you discover those type of songs, I just like to talk about that because the experience of listening to a first song that you like a lot is incredible. You know what I mean? When that feeling that you get when you're just like, oh, I can't believe I have listening material now, new listening material, a new band. But Even Flow was a big one when I was in high school as a junior. I think it was.
Well, just going back on your quick comment, I honestly I think I might have heard it on Beavis and Butthead if it was on there. Because
Right.
I did get a lot of my music from Beavis and Butthead critiques.
Yeah, that song was probably my favorite as well. Um, but
Yeah.
then you have of course
Jeremy.
the popular song is Alive, right?
Mm.
That was the popular song. And then the funny thing is, I've always heard the song Black in the background. I never realized that Black was off 10.
Mm.
Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
I, I just like I just never really paid attention. Like I always liked the song, I mean, I always thought it was a really nice song. But I never realized that because you know what? When I heard Even Flow back then too, I never ventured into the deeper out that part of the album. I know Jeremy, right? Because they always play Jeremy all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Black was on that album, and that was just a gold. This just sitting there that I had no idea. I don't recall listening to Gold. I don't recall listening to Porch or Garden or anything like that. I didn't get that deep into the album, so that's unfortunate. But that's a good, solid, example of a band that I didn't like very much at all. And now as I've gotten older, I can really appreciate them a lot now.
But what was the turning point? Like just all of a sudden you heard him again or some kind of
Because
epiphany?
I heard Black, and I was like, you hear that song all the time. Everybody's always playing it, and I was like, one day I was just like, what is this? What album is this off of?
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized it's off of 10. Really? I don't know, man. I'm naive to it. You know what I mean? I admit it. I don't. I just wasn't the hardcore Pearl Jam fan. So I took a better look, a closer look at the song and listened to it, and I listened to that song for like 10 days straight. Because I just couldn't believe it's such a lovely song.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a lovely song. It's just one of those songs. It's perfect. In my opinion, and it's a popular song too. But it's one of those songs that's popular. It's one of those few times it's an actual popular hit song that I actually appreciate. Like, okay, I know this is the song earns its right to be popular. But it's very few because a lot of songs that are popular, I think, were just complete like fillers. I have examples of that too, but you know, and it's funny that happens sometimes with bands, right? I remember Ozzy Osbourne talking about that with Black Sabbath is that they finish up the album. I can't remember I have to think. I can't think of the top of my head. But not Iron Man, but what's the other popular song? I think even Iron Man. Um, uh, Paranoid,
Mm-hmm. Paranoid, yep.
right? And I remember he was saying that that was like the last song they just threw again. Like something about like they already had the album done, and the producer or something like that. You know, we should have one more song. We should put one more song on the album, you know, so we can have it this length or whatever. They just came up with a song like the last minute. It was like something they just threw together. And you can hear that when you hear the song, you can tell it was something they just threw together.
Mm.
I mean, Paranoid, you know, I mean, I don't like, a lot of people like it, but it's a very simple song. You know, it sounds to me like something that was put together really quickly. And that happened to be the song that was like what the most popular off the album. Isn't the album Paranoid, right?
Yes, yes, sir. Paranoid,
Yeah.
1970.
Yeah, the album, yeah, that album Paranoid, that it's funny that they're, you know, because as a musician, you're sitting there thinking, I think I can, a lot of musicians can understand where I'm coming from here. You don't know what's going to be popular. You don't know what song that people are going to like. I mean, you can go nuts on one song, go, oh God, this is great. So I know people are going to love this song. And they don't even like, that's not the one they like. It's this other one that you just kind of didn't, you kind of disregarded. Yeah, you liked it, but you kind of disregarded it. It was in the corner over here, but that's the one everybody's talking about. It's like you just never know. You know what I mean? And that's the example with Paranoid is that Ozzy just said, oh, really, this filler song? We just threw that together like in the last minute, and that's the popular song off the album. I mean, that's like I said, that's like the most popular song off that album, right?
And it has a lot of great songs. Obviously, Paranoid, Planet Cavern, Iron Man, Hand of Doom. One of my favorites. I think that's such a spooky song, but I think it's really rad. And Fairy Wearing Boots. It's another funny classic, but it's a great one.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, War Pigs is probably, you know, War Pigs is such a popular song, but I would say Paranoid is more popular with your general listener. You know, with your everyday listener. You know, what I mean, Paranoid. People who
Hmm.
don't even listen to heavy metal probably know
Oh,
Paranoid. You
I
know,
agree. I agree. There's something. There's two things. There's the casual listener, and then there's the music head.
yeah,
And yeah,
the
unfortunately,
enthusiast.
yeah, the enthusiasts. Unfortunately, like you said, Paranoid. Became the casual listener. Hey, this is a cool song. You know, they do it for various reasons. Obviously to market, to get more radio play. And you got to think back then in 1970s, I think they were a little bit more strict on the radio, obviously, and they didn't want something too spooky or too, quote unquote satanic. But that's Black
Yeah.
Sabbath for you back then. That's a band I would have loved to see in their prime.
Like 1969. When did the first album came out like 69 or something like that, right? 70, 69,
Yeah.
70 around that point
Prime time.
for the self-titled album.
Yes,
And
sir.
I mean, where Mike, like where they are the founders of heavy metal, right? I know hands down. I mean, you can't even throw in under Iron Butterfly. I mean, it's Black Sabbath.
But it always any hard rock top 100 list, any metal list, the one and two is always going to be Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But Black Sabbath are heavy metal,
Hmm.
right? I mean, they are heavy. I mean, Led Zeppelin is they're more hard rock, I would say, you know. They're more of a hard
But I
rock
just
thing.
think the fusion of those two,
Mhm.
of the camp of the Black Sabbath spookiness, or like the groovy I don't want to say psychedelic, but kind of like the more of mystical soundings with Jimmy Page and Robert Plant sounding together, Zeppelin. It just it created a great mesh of artists that came after them.
Oh, I mean, that's the reason why they are who they are. The energy that they created,
Hmm.
and I mean, like that's what a lot of people. I mean, the amount of bands they were so influenced, they came out, they were created because of these bands. I mean, I mean Metallica. I mean Sabbath. I'm sure if you were to talk to those guys, Hetfield and Lars, they would definitely Sabbath would be there in the conversation. Top three bands, probably. Um, in my eyes, it's like in everybody's. I mean, this is just truth. Sabbath passed the torch to Metallica. As far as heavy metal royalty.
But I have a burning question:
Yeah.
Ozzy Sabbath or Dio Sabbath?
This is those the type of things. It's just music is just not a sport, man.
Wow.
But what do I like? I mean, come on, I like Ozzy's stuff. I love Dio too, but I like Dio with Dio stuff.
Did you like Rainbow?
Yeah, of course. I like Rainbow. I like all that stuff. But when he did a great job, but I mean, it's like Ozzy's just he's irreplaceable. I mean, he just can't.
Those were boots that were never going to be filled.
No,
Ozzy, the
no.
prime front man, he is the king. Well, the king, yeah, the Prince of
The Prince of
Darkness.
Prince of Darkness. But the
That's
funny thing about Ozzy is that he's not even. If you really think about it, if you really want to talk about Ozzy, there's a lot of times when he sings and like the notes are just not there. Like he doesn't hit the note right, and he cringe. You're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like when he plays live, especially now. I mean, when he's older, but even before that, sometimes he would crank a note and it wouldn't be right on. It wouldn't be right, and it was like cringeworthy. Like, oh, you know what I mean? But it was, but see, it's like Ozzy's like in his own little area where like he's Ozzy. I mean, like, and I love the way Ozzy sounds. I love his sound is perfect
Mhm.
with metal. It's like James Hetfield with Metallica. You couldn't have asked for a better vocalist sounding to complement the music that's playing behind him, right? And
Mhm.
Ozzy Osbourne's the same thing. But as a professional singer, I think probably a lot of fresh singers probably like would cringe if they heard him sing. He's just one of those type of guys, man. He's just like self-made, learned on his own. He was not classically trained. He wasn't
No.
any of that stuff. As a matter of fact, you can even look at his lyrics too. His lyrics are very rudimentary. They're not very complex. They're not very. I mean, they're pretty simple. His lyrics. As a matter of fact, I think Tony Iommi wrote a lot of the lyrics from Black Sabbath. I don't even think he.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, yeah, I think he wrote it a lot. But see, Ozzy is just one of those guys that it just works. It just works. It's like
He's a showman. He
he's a
knew,
showman. Yes.
he knew
Yes.
how to captivate the audience. That's why you see, like, even still, like, he's still running around clapping his hands. Like, he's like, I can't play, but I can at least run around.
He's never played guitar in his life. I think he has no idea how to play guitar. He has no idea to play any instrument at all whatsoever.
No.
But when Randy Rhoads came to Ozzy back in 1982, I mean, Ozzy was. It's funny. I don't know if you read the story, but like he was like in L.A. He was drunk out of his mind, and the Black Sabbath, they fired him from from the
Mhm.
band because he's a drunk. You know what I mean? He
Mhm.
wasn't probably he was just wasn't fitting the bill anymore for them, so they got rid of him, and so he's just drinking. Because what else is he going to do, right? And with Sharon Osbourne and all that around at that time, and I forgot what happened, but he got connected with Randy Rhoads somehow, and he was in L.A. And I guess Randy came over to try out for him, and I think Randy just started doodling on his guitar. It was like just like what any guitar player would do when they just turn on, they just start screwing around with a couple things, and then Ozzy's just like, stop, no more, no, you got the gig, right? You don't need to go on any further anymore. So he comes aboard. They come out with what was it? As a Diary of the Madman first, or was it? I always forget. Blizzard of Oz. I think it was Blizzard of Oz that popped. Yeah, and
I think it was. Let me do a quick. I think it is Blizzard of Oz.
I think it was Blizzard of Oz. I always get that because it's
Yep,
those.
it's yep. Blizzard of Oz, 1980. Diary
Yeah,
of a Madman, 81.
I always forget which one came first, and I know I love Ozzy Osbourne so much, and I
I
was
I only remember because I watched an interview that they said it was Blizzard of Oz because he was like super high on his white powder. That's why I'm like, I don't know why it just like that it became his first one because he was so high on it that
Really? Is that
yeah.
is that what's supposed to be a metaphor to his to the drugs? Is
Mm-hmm.
Wizard of Oz?
Yep.
Okay, well that came out first, and then because they only did two with Randy, because he passed away unfortunately. Um, yeah, so they did that one, but when Ozzy came out, and he I don't even know the last time he was on stage with Sabbath before when he came out with Ozzy in his own solo project, but I mean I think there was this documentary where Sharon Osbourne says, and Ozzy was a star again. You know what I mean? It was so profound when she said that, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like Ozzy is a showman. Just give him the right musicians in there, and Ozzy goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, and man, what a run! Those two albums are this. They're probably in the Library of Congress. You know what I mean? Those two albums, yeah, because they're so they mean so much in our history of music and heavy metal. I mean, I don't think you can tell the story without bringing up Ozzy Osbourne. You can't talk about heavy metal without bringing up Ozzy Osbourne. You know what I mean? And Metallica, and I know Metallica's album Master of Puppets is in the Library of Congress. It's just that it's that important to our culture. It's so important. It's so popular and so important. It's in the library. It's recognized. I don't know if there are any other albums. I know that Master of Puppets is in there. That's significant. And I think, and honestly, I think the Ozzy Osbourne albums should be there, or some Sabbath or something. I mean, you just can't tell a story without talking about those albums. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Blizzard of Oz, 5 times platinum. And this is in 1980, so that's a
Oh
good
man,
penny right there.
yeah. And you know what? I hate it when people think about Ozzy and they go, "Oh, I hate that whole idea of like, oh, the guy who bit off the dove, the bird, dove. Or was it a
Bat.
dove? Yeah, or was it a bat? No, he bit a dove's head. No, he did the bat too.
Mm-hmm.
He did it as a marketing
So
scheme. Huh?
so first he did the dove on like a radio on like a TV host or a show, and then he did the bat, later on
I think it was.
on the side.
I think he did his. No, he did it. He went to like the record the executive offices
Mm-hmm.
I think it was.
It was a meeting. Yeah,
Was
it
it?
was a
It
meeting.
was a meeting with the execs, with these
Yeah.
business suit guys, and he
Yeah.
goes in there and he bites
The
to
dove
make
head
it
off.
the dove head out to make an impression.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a shame because it's like then it becomes like, oh, he's known for that, and that's like, God, the guy's legendary, and just the music is legendary, But no, he's known for that, or the bat's more popular. Somebody threw a bat. I think I heard him say that he thought it was a fake bat.
Mm-hmm.
And so he picks it up, out of a funny joke, and he bites it, but it was a real bat. Then he had to go get like rabies shots or something
Yeah, like 10 of them. It was something crazy.
like that. Yeah, I mean but then he becomes known as that. It's like, oh, come on, dude, don't do that to him. When stuff like that happens, it also reminds me of like a band that I love truly. And as a matter of fact, I got their poster in the back. Is Alien Ant Farm. Just a side note, because everybody plays that song "Movies," and they play
Smooth
the
Criminal.
oh God, I hate the song. I mean, I love the Michael Jackson songs is good, but I hate the fact that people know them by that. You know what I mean? Because it's such a great band. They have such good music, but then they get known off of that. I mean, I've been listening to those guys for years in the '90s. I went to a lot of their shows. I mean, I used to go see them at the Coconut Teaser in Hollywood back in the day with people who know what that is. But and then they become known off of that. I was like, oh Jesus, really?
I remember this conversation with you at school because you said, oh, I'm listening to Alien Ant Farm. I'm like, whoa! I thought that they only had like one album, but apparently to you they had a couple albums, and you were a big fan of them.
I was listening to them when they pretty much like in '95 when I think when I discovered, like '96 maybe, when I discovered them, way before they came out with that the Smooth Criminal. And I was I was going to the barn in Riverside, the UC Riverside, to go watch them. and they were just such a great band, and I really liked them a lot. I thought that the band just meshed well with each other. Like the chemistry of the band was just so good. And all these guys came from like all different bands, and they put their own super band together. You know what I mean? And from what I hear, the story goes. And so the band was just great, and they came out with they came up with just some really good material, and I've been listening to them for a while. And then they got popular, and I was happy for them that they got popular with that song Smooth Grip. But then at the same time, I was like, they're better than that. To be known for a song that's not even their song, it's like, okay, I guess. I mean, if they became popular, they made some money, got to tour, and that's cool. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like they're good enough to be popular with their own songs in their own right. You know.
So and Anthology
Anthology,
came
yeah.
out 2001. So I was about 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
That's why I remember them.
and Anthology came out, and a lot of the songs I think on there was from songs from their demo tape. They re-recorded a lot of songs.
So we had the early years from '96 singles, $100 EP, Love Songs EP. Yeah,
See, those are
that's
the
it.
songs. The EP that's when I started listening to them, and then I thought they were a great band, and then they came out with an official. They came out with this major label album. I don't remember what label it's on. What label was it? It's on Major, isn't it? DreamWorks, yeah, DreamWorks, and yeah, it's a great album. I love it, But then they get popular on Smooth Criminal. Like, why? Like, seriously? Okay, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess so. But this is so many good songs of their own songs, and I don't know. I've always just thought that was a shame, because I really like the guys. I think they're just such a talented band, and I knew the guys when I was playing with my Trench, because we were playing around the circuit at the time that they were playing, and I think we even played a show with him one time at the Shack here in Fullerton, and so I even talked to the guitar player one time, and back then I was like this young kid, and I don't know, I couldn't read the room or something like that. You know what I mean? I was very honest back then, and I'm very critical about music. And so I remember going up to him and talking to him, go, yeah, I listened to that album. I don't remember what was it. I think it was the greatest hits one.
That's the first one.
I think it was the greatest hits one, right? I remember.
Yep.
I told him this is what I told him at the bar. I wonder if he would remember this too, because he got kind of mad at me. But I said, yeah, I was listening to that album, but I think the guitars are a little too loud. I told him I think the guitar is a little too loud, dude, and he got mad. He got offended. I was being honest. I was giving him constructive criticism, and I really believe that, and I still believe it to this day. But probably something I probably shouldn't have said since I didn't know him. I didn't know him very well, and these days now, I wouldn't say something like that. But yeah, I remember telling him that, and he got kind of offended.
So who was the guy with that reverse mohawk? You knew him, the lead singer, I presume.
You know what's funny? Like I would see him. I never really had a conversation with him, but I remember seeing him around, and I remember him always just giving me these funny looks. But it wasn't because of me. It was just he was in this. He was like in this persona.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I understand it. I mean, I get it. And you know what? He was just. I think the guy just loved playing music. He was in this band, and he liked playing this band, and he was just. He would always give me I remember him looking at me a couple of times and just. He was a character. I mean, if you remember watching those guys back in the day, watching them play, fans would know what I'm talking about. He was a great front man. I mean to say a character like he was just a good front man. You know what I mean? He was very creative. He was very creative when he sang. He kind of like I want to say his kind of comedic style. He was. I think he's gifted. I think he's gifted showmanship wise. As a showman, he's very gifted because he was very entertaining. And that's what a singer needs to be, is entertaining, because you are the front man, you are the person everybody's watching. And boy, did he do a really good job. And plus he could sing really well. He could sing really well. So that, but yeah, I never talked to him. But I remember he used to see me around. I used to see him around.
So you guys use a cross paths?
We crossed paths because we played with each other, and plus I used to go to their shows all the time. So I think what it was, and this is just my opinion, I think it's just that he always saw me as a familiar face, like at the show. So he would look at me, and he would they kind of give me like a what's up or something like that. And it's been a long time, it's like 20-something years ago, but and I remember seeing him around all the time, but I never really talked to him. But I remember talking to Terry, the guitar player. And I remember, he got offended because I told him, and rightfully so, dude. I shouldn't have told him that, man. Although I still believe that. I still think that that's true. I think the guitars are too loud.
Terry Caruso
Caruso
from Alien.
Like that. Yeah.
And from Alien Anaform. If you want to come give your 2 cents back at here at Joey, we'll love to have you.
Terry, man, I love your guitar. Dude, don't get me wrong, I love your guitar playing so much, man. It's like I wanted to be you, bro, at one point, man. You know what I mean? Because I thought your guitar player was so influential. I really dug the notes he chose to play. He's got his own style that I really enjoy a lot. And the guy's, I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not just saying that, you know what I mean? I've been listening to that band for so many years, and that's because you better be a good guitar player if I'm gonna listen to you for years. And he is, so yeah, I didn't mean to be critical like that. It was just the wrong time and place is what I'm guilty of. But yeah, telling the truth,
All right, well, Terry, if somehow you ever hear this, come on the show and see if you can give 2 cents.
I love you, bro, man. I love you, Terry, man. Loved your shows back then. You guys were like definitely one of our top, my band's top favorite bands. Very influential to us, and I even like I hope you guys keep on busting out with records, man. I mean, it's slowed down a little bit, but you guys are really good together. I'll tell you that, especially with what's his name, Ty, the bass player. You remember you've heard of Alien Anaform?
And well, aside from the one album, yes.
Yeah, they're bassists. They need to get him back. I think it's Ty Zamora. I think his name is.
Yeah.
They need to get him back because I mean the band is really, I mean the chemistry of the band is just, in my opinion, on point, 100% at their best when all 4 of those guys are in the room playing. And that's it. Period. Bar none.